Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. Today on the journey, which, by the way, just for edification, the day is March 14th of 2021. It's been a hectic day because, well, let's face it, it is currently roughly 7:30 at night. Okay, that's Pacific Standard Time, PST. Anyway, getting started off on a very slow day today as far as here goes. But it has been a productive day. You can tell if you look at the counter back here, we managed to get it cleared off. We've got a few other things dealt with, and now we are starting to move forward. We even tracked down finances to the point that we now know exactly where I'm standing and where we have to go. One of the critical factors that I find where it comes to getting things moving is that funny little list I keep telling you about. And yes, I know I repeat myself. But the reason I do that is because it seems to, I'm hoping it'll help you, but it certainly helps me. And at this point, that is much more the issue. Okay, I've been doing my work, showing people how to get their life back on track. It's nice to see it finally happening on my end. Okay, now it took the day. I always have, there's 2 days of the week that I always get, virtually always get something accomplished. As in, I've got my own hobby days. Yes, I do a lot of writing. Okay, but my other hobby is playing things like Dungeons and Dragons, Aftermath, old style tabletop role playing games. Okay, so today we did that. Now, when you start looking at that side of it, doesn't matter what you're doing for a living, doesn't matter what your job is, what your career is, you still require time to wind down, time to just relax. The other thing I managed to get done today, I've mentioned that I'm getting rid of a bunch of stuff I don't require. There was a gentleman living next door to me, okay, living in the same block, and he only just moved in. In my case, we had come to a point where we had to get rid of some of the furniture we've got. Okay, now we had a recliner that was barely paid for, right? But it was paid for. It served its purpose, and we had to get rid of it anyway. So I asked the neighbor if he would like it. We were getting rid of it anyway. Would he like the thing? Right. And he was quite happy about it. So now my living room actually has a little more room to work with. Again, we're getting rid of the clutter that we don't require. Fortunately, my son is starting to figure this out as well. I'm hoping the idea here, as far as he goes, is making certain that he doesn't get into the same habit I did, hanging on to everything. Okay, and yeah, that's my coffee cup. Like I mentioned, I have a tendency of fiddling and what have you, just handling things, but that works for me. So now it's time to start getting the other things out of the way. Now, where it comes to success for you, first rule of thumb, you've got to make sure you get an idea in your head of what you desire what you call success. Now, what you call success may not be what I call success. Okay, it may not be an issue of, you may not feel that you have to get rid of a bunch of junk. Personally, what I've found is if you get rid of the clutter, the energy in the house will run a whole lot smoother. Poor English. A whole lot more smoothly. Okay, and once that starts to happen, then you can actually start making headway. Now, I don't know about you, but you get rid of the clutter in my house, and all of a sudden you end up with this wonderful little thing of being able to sleep a little easier. If you don't believe me, that's okay. I suggest this, though. Give it a shot. Get rid of some of the clutter, especially in your bedroom, and see what happens to your sleeping pattern. Okay, if that works, or more to the point, once you've done that, take a look at how you're sleeping. See if you're sleeping a little better than what you were. Okay, you may find that even though you don't understand the way the energy works, it affects you just the same. Mind you, if you think about it, you don't have to understand how gravity works for gravity to play havoc with you. Okay. Now, one of the other nice little parts of all of this, I'm just making notes for myself of what I have to do here. Okay. Because once I'm done this video, then I've got a couple other things I've got to get on to. But, in my house, I am getting rid of the junk I don't require. Okay. Just yesterday, I guess it would have been, went down, picked up a couple more, and one of these times, I'll show you some of the figures I've been working with, aside from the two that are within reach here. Okay. I was playing around with the idea, and I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, so I'll just ask you and see what comes back. I was seriously considering walking through. Now, I do not have a master class. I mean, we hear tell about all these things. I don't believe in master classes. You have people that are very adept at what they do, people that are very successful at what they do. And I was debating whether to do a weekly series on the way my creative process works, to go from concept to a written work. Now, if you would like me to walk you through that, I'll be more than happy to do it. I'm going to postpone it until I get some feedback. And quite frankly, it's sort of a question of right now I'm dealing with spirituality, business, alien technologies, alien races. Okay, and I'm considering looking at doing one on the creative process that I personally am using and have used to successfully put out, well, 4 books at this point. Where did I put it? Oh, way back there. I don't know if I can reach that. Not really. So we're just going to see what happens here. Pray I don't hang myself in the process of all of this. Okay, but this book here is what I'm referring to, walking you through the creative process that brought this about. It went from an idea to an actual physical book, and I'm working on the sequel to it right now. Okay, again, for me, writing is not really a lot of work. Okay, but I have come to the conclusion that showing you what I'm doing, not only does it help keep it focused in my head, but it may give you a little bit of an idea as to how to go about getting it focused in your head. Which is why up on the wall here, up above me, I've got this neat little sign regarding finances that literally says, now understand I live in a household. Okay, so when I'm talking about the whole household, it literally says, we have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by 11:59 p.m. on March 31st of 2021. Now that $2,000, change that number to whatever it requires to run your household. What doing that does is it draws the energy out of the upper levels, out of the higher planes, into the material world where it can be made manifest. And believe it or not, okay, give it a shot and see what happens. But what I found happened for me was it helped it helped draw that money to me. Again, doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing with it, all the money in the world won't help. So, from that standpoint, it's very important that you turn around and really get straight in your own head what you see as successful, what you see, and understand it's not a question of finding out what makes you happy. It's actually easier than that. Because let's face it, you may not know, for instance, you may not know if skydiving will make you happy, if you'll enjoy it. You may not know if you'll enjoy golf. However, you will certainly know what doesn't make you happy or what stresses you out. Okay, in my case, I get stressed out when I try and travel anywhere. I do it anyway. And for people that are, because I do speak on alien races and alien technologies, when travel is permitted, when I'm invited, I do go to different conferences around. I've been to conferences in the States, in a couple of places in the States. I was in Portland, Maine about 8 years ago. Okay, I was in there 3 years running, and I was over in Skagit County in Washington State for a couple 3 years there. Of course, when COVID hit, travel kind of went out the window. But for me, these are markers that things are starting to move. I managed to get myself to the point where I'm debt free, managed to get myself sorted around where I've got food in the house, I've got my utilities all paid for. To me, this is great because it simply means I don't have to worry about it. Now, as you can tell, I'm not the, shall we say, picture of a phenomenal physique. And be grateful, I'm not taking my shirt off. Okay. But I am working on trying to get my life organized, get myself in better health, mentally, physically, the whole 9 yards. Thankfully, nobody's told me coffee isn't permitted. Okay, not that I'm addicted to it, but I do like the flavor a bit better than water. Now, as I mentioned before, you'll start to see this mess behind me going away. And slowly but surely it is. But at the same time, I've got things coming in that are being eliminated that you won't see in the office here because this is all you see. I'm not moving the computer around, although I am looking at getting a different one. Okay, all in all, we are looking at a lot of changes happening. But the biggest thing from my standpoint is this: working together, we can make this world a better place for everybody. Because if you think about it, whether you're a pauper, whether you're living on the street, whether you're middle range, or whether you're a multimillionaire, you still, in all likelihood, put your pants on one leg at a time. You still have to eat to fill your stomach. You still have to work to generate some sort of an income. Now, understandably, with people that have a lot of money, a lot of investments, many times they'll have businesses running that are generating the income for them. But don't kid yourself. This is not a walk in the park. Okay, if they're doing it right, if they're doing it effectively, the people that own businesses have to have their finger on the pulse all the time. And it's not just about the business. The people that that do the work in the business are the critical factor. My understanding is that the number one cost in any business is cost of staffing, training, hiring, firing, re-educating. This is all part of a major cost. Now, the funny thing is, if you treat your staff properly, that staff will treat you properly. Okay, and properly being give them an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. Funny thing is, if you're the employee and you're hired, you're offered a job to do X job at X wage, then for pity's sakes, do the job. Okay, if you're not happy with the job, find another one and then close the door on the one you've got. But when we talk about doing unto others, think of it if you owned the business and you had a staff member that for whatever reason desired to leave. Would you be happier with them if they were to give you proper notice and say, look, I'm just not happy here anymore. I'm going to go. Right? Or would you rather they just don't show up for work one day? And on the flip side of that, if you're looking at hiring somebody, which type of person you're more likely to hire? The person that has given legal notice, given proper notice for when they're leaving, or the one that just walked off the job with no warning. Now, this all ties into the same, this is all part and parcel of personal life. Now, when I wrote the book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, I made it as simple as I could, and it's the same steps that I use across the board. because it boils down to treating people the way I desire to be treated. When I go out for dinner, okay, I'm decent to the waitress, or if it happens to be a waiter, I'm decent to them. You know, I treat them because their job is a difficult one. Been there, done that. If you've never waited, if you've never been a waiter, okay, just for giggles, give it a shot. Okay, ask one of the people you know, especially if you haven't been in that field for a long time. Ask one of the people you know, okay, or a stranger for that matter, to train you as a waiter because you want to know what it's like. Now, I will tell you this. It'll probably be easier if you're asking somebody you know, because the little businessman is only going to want to hire somebody that they figure they're going to keep around for a while. Okay, the one that's got, like, I know of people that have multiple restaurants. They've got a little bit more leeway to work with. Okay, for me, it boils down to this, and this is why I mentioned the issue of, if you would like me to show you the creative process that I went through, and I may do it anyway, but I'm just looking for a little bit of feedback. By the way, again, and I did this backwards again, but I would love to see a thumbs up on our videos, and absolutely subscribe to the channel so that you can get the rest of the videos coming up. Okay, because I am doing like I'm usually getting at least one up, and I'm working at two a day. Okay, one on just the journey, the way that my life is shifting gears. I'll tell you, it is a bizarre feeling for me. I spent my entire life behind the eight ball trying to figure out how I was going to pay this bill by delaying that one. Now the bills come in and I go, that's a bill. Well, that's terrible. Put that aside for a minute, open up the bank account, pay the bill off, file the bill. Okay. I used to get 4 or 5 phone calls a day from creditors. Okay. I don't get any. Now I just get these wonderfully cute scams. Things like, oh, by the way, your Visa card has got some questionable charges. I don't personally own a Visa card. So I just thank them very much for their concern and inform them that they might want to try a different line of work. Okay. My stress level has massively collapsed since I got rid of the financial problem. And I will tell you from practical experience, it is amazing how well that works. Now, again, there's a lot of bankruptcy trustees out there and people that tell you how to handle finances. I will tell you this. The odds of bankruptcy being your requirement, the way you have to go, okay, may not be as clear cut as what you're thinking. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, like, I've never been trained in the way finances work. I've had to learn it the hard way. But if you're having trouble and and you're trying to figure out how to do it and you don't really desire to go bankrupt, there are ways around it. This much I know for an absolute certainty because I figured out a way. And I've guided people, I've guided my clients before, okay, on countless occasions on how to turn their finances around using their money so that they could get ahead of the game, so they didn't have to go bankrupt. Okay, it's the same as if you're trying to get rid of junk. Everybody looks at their house and goes, and like a lot of people do, not everybody. A lot of people look at their house and go, I'm not content with the way my life is going. I'm really not happy with the clutter. But where do I start? And I'll tell you, the easiest way to do that, the quickest way to decide on where to start, wherever you're sitting. If you're sitting there watching me on the video, trust me, you're not doing it because of my looks. If you're watching me on YouTube here, okay, then where to start is right where you're sitting. Take a look around you and figure out what needs to be corrected. What are you not content with? Okay, by the way, in answer to the other question, I can't do this really backwards in case you haven't noticed, rather scattered. Okay, and yet I am getting to be what I consider successful. At the bottom of this video, underneath the video itself, you'll find a list of ways of getting a hold of me. Contact me at any one of them. I'll do my best to respond. Either I'll do a video on it if you've got a question that is coming up a lot. I'll do an extra video on it. Okay. Or I'll answer you directly. If it's just a quick thing, I may just drop you a quick line myself and go, here's the answer. To me, it's not a big problem. I'm sitting in front of my computer 3/4 of the time anyway. Okay. I will be, one of these days, this chair that I'm sitting on, I will undoubtedly be replacing. But it's going to take me a little while because I made a commitment to myself yesterday that I was done with major purchases, I was done with major spending until such time as I had the money put aside to do it. Okay, so that's just the way that's going to go. But this is a question of self control. I used to have a bad habit of impulse buying at a staggering level. Okay, thinking that the stuff would make me a little happier. Well, all the stuff did was add clutter to my house that I subsequently am having to get rid of. Okay, you may be facing the same thing. It's kind of like my wardrobe. It's, to say the least, outdated. This shirt that I'm wearing, I actually designed this one amongst a number of others and sold them for a few years at the flea market. But about 6 years ago, I quit going to the flea market, so I just kept them, and I'm just wearing them until they wear out. These ones are just about gone. Okay, so it's getting to the point where I now have to start looking at replacing that clothing as well. But I'm going to do it one step at a time. Okay, and if you stay with me, you'll see how this all transpires because I'm going to walk through it. I'm surprised, not really, but I was asked by a lot of people put videos out a little more frequently. Only I couldn't figure out where to do it. I did do horoscopes for a while, but in all fairness, there's a lot of horoscopes out there, and it wasn't really feeling as though it was doing what it needed to. Okay, and the reason for that, and I should do that, explain some of these videos, or not the videos. That's not a bad idea. Explain some of these tools and the mythology behind them, or the myth understanding. Yeah, that was cute. The myth understandings? No, the misunderstandings about them. Okay, understand. I've been working in the metaphysical field now. Tarot readings, mediumship, psychometry, as in reading what's coming off of an object. Okay, astrology, numerology. I've done a lot of it. The only one I don't do is I don't do tea leaves because, quite frankly, I don't like tea. So I just don't see the point in hanging on to it. Okay, but there's a lot of tools that people have explained. Like, for instance, Reiki is another tool that is used, but there are things that Reiki masters are doing. Now, I cannot claim to be a Reiki master. I have never been trained. Okay, however, I have figured out how to heal faster than than a lot of Reiki masters do. And if I'm saying if I can heal, how come I'm still wearing glasses? Well, because when I was born, I was virtually totally colorblind. Okay, I saw gray, and that was pretty much it. I currently have color vision. Also, if I was holding my glasses that close, I couldn't physically see them at all. Currently, I have 20/20 eyesight for reading. Okay, which, trust me on this one, it feels a whole lot better. And yes, I can explain how I did most of that. Sometimes things get a little technical, but if you've got questions, absolutely drop me a line and ask. Okay, I mean, it's just that's the way it works. Now, that said, because I'm trying to keep these under the half-hour mark, we are getting close to the end of it here, so I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, if you'd like to hear about the creative process I use when I'm doing my writing, absolutely, I'd love to hear from you. You know, I may do it anyway, but if people are interested in it, I'm going to be that much more inclined to do it. Like I said, people bug me for years to do more of the videos. Since the 6th of this month, when I started doing the monthly video or the daily videos, I have thus far hit every day. Got a little late today, so gotta watch that one so I don't get too carried away on that one, but we'll get started on it. In the meantime, I'm going to call it a day for tonight, at least as far as this one. But thank you for joining me on the journey. Hope we get a thumbs up out of you. Subscribe to our channel below. And absolutely, take care until we talk again. Take care of each other and yourselves. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.